of our nurses are trained outside of Ireland. They are very welcome. We feel very lucky to have them. We have to look after them as well.
The Irish Farmers Association says it wants clarity from supermarkets on the future price of milk. It comes as a number of retailers have announced a drop in the price of own brand milk and butter in the past week. It's led to claims from farmers a number of dairies will have to close down. The IFA president is Tim Cullinan. He says they need to get guarantees.
Dairy farmers have seen a reduction in the price they're obtaining for their milk from dairy processors. The problem we have here is there's no clarity. We don't know how much of a margin retailers are making here in Ireland.
A US jury has cleared Ed Sheeran of allegations one of his hit songs copied a classic tune by Marvin Gaye. The hears of songwriter Ed Townsend, who wrote the 1973 classic Let's Get It On, had claimed the British singer had stolen key parts of it for his hit song Thinking Out Loud. But a jury in New York court decided Sheeran did not infringe copyright. It's 7:02.
News Talk weather.
Thanks to Ryanair. Top hats fly free for Ascot on Ryanair's low-fare flights to Luton, Gatwick and Stansted.
Sunny spells and scattered showers tomorrow. Highest temperatures of 14 to 18 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette Labs. Get the ultimate shave or your money back. Neon Night Edition available now.
This is News Talk.
All right, it is Thursday evening. It is Nathan with you all the way through until 10 o'clock. Hope you're keeping well. We've got a busy show for you. If you're a Manchester United supporter, I think you'll enjoy this evening's show. Not only are Manchester United playing, literally everybody on the show has either played for Manchester United or currently plays for Manchester United. And that is no exaggeration. John Giles, former Manchester
FA
United
Cup winner,
player,
1963.
FA Cup winner, yes, is going to join us to talk about Jimmy Murphy, who they built a statue of Jimmy Murphy outside Old Trafford, just the fourth statue. So there's Alex Ferguson, Matt Busby, there is the Law Charlton Best statue, and now there's a Jimmy Murphy
So I was
statue.
trying to figure this out this morning, and I was counting Law Best and Charlton as three statues.
Well, there's,
but it
it's
obviously
they're
isn't.
all
I know it is. Yeah,
together.
it's
Sorry,
one
they're all
sculpture.
together.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry,
but
I
anyway, that
apologise,
explains it. I was like, surely they would have gone with Busby and Ferguson.
So John is going to talk to us. He's mentioned Jimmy Murphy countless times throughout the years and his influence.
It's a great
on
honour. That's a real
United.
nice touch from a club, I would say, to go with the kind of unheralded, sort of kind of behind the scenes figure who built the club. I know there's a brilliant article from Daniel Taylor, I think, in the Athletic today.
Well, they're
about
called the
what
Busby
he meant
Babes, but
to-
it was Jimmy Murphy's babes. He was the one who brought through all of those players, so many of whom passed away in Munich, and then of the team that won the 68 European Cup final, I think 8 of them came through.
That's true, him, yeah.
So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk to John about Sam Allardyce's appointment as Leeds United manager.
Oh, yes.
And his comments yesterday. Sneak peek to what's coming. Not a fan. To the extent Arthur has been frantically searching for Giles v Allardyce as players, as to what the history between the two is. They're not of the exact same generation.
No, I
but
wouldn't say so.
a young Allardyce did go up against the elder statesman Giles. So yeah,
Well found.
obviously John, Leeds legend, so Leeds fans will be very interested in his thoughts on that with 4 games left. Like, that is for the next 20 years, that is going to hold Sam Allardyce. Unless, of course, they go and they beat Manchester City at the weekend.
So I presume we heard all these clips yesterday. Me and you were otherwise engaged at the Mansion House, but I have to say that the Guardiola Klopp stuff is making all the headlines. The funniest part for me was him really angry about the fact that Sammy Lee has to go through with the jury duty.
This is outrageous. You can't have Big Sam and no Sammy.
I know. What's the point? What's the point, really?
Like, Robbie Keane can't fill that role.
Robbie Keane could be the new Sam Lee. You don't know, Sammy Lee.
Can he not get out of jury duty? Is Sammy Lee not too famous for jury duty?
Well, you see, maybe Big Sam has compromised that now, and maybe he'll get off it. He's put him into the news. He's put him into the news.
Maybe he's put him in a dangerous position. He didn't say what case he's on, did
I
he?
won't comment on that. I'm sure. I don't know if he's on a case.
Okay.
Is he? Sure. I think you're just seconded for a couple of weeks, and
Okay.
you go up every morning. I've never done jury duty. Have you?
I haven't.
Never got
been
the letter in
called.
the post. No.
Thank Christ.
I don't think they know where I live. Thank God.
All right. That's another
I'll
story.
be ringing you there for another 2 weeks off soon.
So John Giles, 7:30, former Manchester United footballer. 8 o'clock, John O'Shea and Wes Brown together. So we were at the Round Room in the Mansion House last night for our Just Eat Roadshow. We had Graham Souness over as well. Late replacement. Said he had never been a substitute, quite pointedly, to John O'Shea and Wes Brown.
He also said it to you at the start. I've never been a sub before. I don't know what to do here. But he was a late substitute, and what a replacement. He was fantastic for the whole night. But we're not hearing from him tonight.
No, Tuesday night we're going to bring you the full interview with Graham Souness. Really interesting because obviously he had his, I was going to say retirement last Sunday from Sky, but not quite his retirement. He ain't going too far if it's up to him.
Yeah, we don't know what that is yet, but
so Souness was brilliant. Just again, full of it. He's 70 on Saturday.
Yeah,
we all agreed.
He was the talk of the green room afterwards when he went off, was like, including the footballers,
who were like, "Wow, 70 years
triceps.
of age, sensational shape."
Yeah, you don't normally comment on anybody's triceps. Actually, they're more bicep or whatever. But he had very noticeably large and in shape and toned triceps, I would say. Yeah. Would you agree?
I would.
Yeah.
Swims.
Sort of looking at me
6 a.m. down at his home in Bournemouth, into the sea, 6 a.m. every morning. Has his home gym. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Self-motivator, you see. Doesn't want to be around the people.
So we bring you that Tuesday night. Over the next couple of days, we had a really good chat about modern football and coaching and all of that.
Chat/argument.
It was fascinating because Graham Souness, as you've all seen Graham, you know his views on certain aspects of coaching and modern management and the amount of data the players are given or expected to be given, and he had those views. And John O'Shea is the Republic of Ireland coach, and coach at Stoke, young guy, very much going through the modern way, and I think it's fair to say there was a clash of styles.
Yeah, very, very interesting. I think that's tomorrow night, and then tonight the two boys who I thought were great, and there was loads of good United stories, and surprisingly, Nathan, some of the best stories were actually the Sunderland stories. I would say that Wes Brown and John O'Shea, as we've been talking about for a couple of weeks, basically had their whole career together, including a good few years at Sunderland at the end. And Paolo Di Canio. We're actually going to hear this tonight. Actually, you'll see it on the YouTube, or listen back on the podcast. It's just a Man United segment on the radio tonight. But they did talk about Paolo Di Canio being like a detail-orientated style manager, just a complete opposite of what you would expect almost, Well,
one of the best things about these sort of roadshows is we know so little about what actually goes on inside clubs. And from the outside, you just assume Di Canio, it was a complete basket case and he would have been all over the shop and
wearing
it was
nice
all
suits.
About look good, but all about the emotion but it was complete opposite.
It's the opposite, yeah.
The complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like Wes Brown mentioned at one stage, like the warm-up, like the players weren't allowed to talk to each other in the warm-up as they do their laps of the pitch, like you were on. So there was no laughing and joking about the night out on Saturday after the game. It was, this is a serious business.
Yeah, and very serious. Like, apparently skinned a young guy who let Gareth Bale in for a late winner on the last day of the season, even though they'd already had their miracle survival the week before. And that's almost their memory of that season, is the end of season dressing down from Di Canio, despite the fact that they'd achieved one of Sunderland's many miracle survivals.
John O'Shea is such a nice man that we do sort of take his success for granted. And likewise with Wes Brown, because they were just on the cusp all the time. But you look at the amount of games that they played, like nearly 400 games for Manchester United for John O'Shea. We went through some of the highlights last night. Like, you look at the Figo nutmeg, give that a good outing. Like the goal against Arsenal, like Wes Brown's cross for Cristiano Ronaldo in the 08 Champions League final. Yeah. Like absolute top drawer. So they were there for very much witnesses to history, being in that dressing room. So 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, Wes Brown, John O'Shea.
Stories, yeah.
9 o'clock then, Aoife Mannion, Mayo's Aoife Mannion. Mayo's and Manchester United's Aoife Mannion is going to join us.
And Ireland's.
And very much now Ireland's
actually representing
Aoife Mannion.
Yeah.
I won't say it's gone under the radar. So after Ireland qualified, it became clear quite quickly that there were a lot of Irish eligible players around the world, and we've seen quite a few of them come into the squad. But Aoife Mannion is top drawer centre back. English League Team of the Season twice before she picked up 2 ACLs. So she played 90 minutes against Arsenal last week, which was the first time since her latest one. And she'd only played a handful of games before that from her first comeback when she was out for almost 18 months. So for the last 4 years has barely played any football, but is now forcing her way into the Manchester United team, who are top of the WSL, who are playing in the FA Cup final next week, and is going to be in the Ireland squad, and you'd feel probably going to be starting for Ireland at centre back in the World Cup.
Yeah. And like, just the comeback is brilliant. Like, it's such a great story. And then there is also that other element of, like, you know, what the squad dynamics are. But it did seem, I have to say, and you've obviously talked to her or talking to her and will know more, but it did seem to me from like that, you know, the games that she's had, that I don't know whether it's Vera Pauw has done it or whether it's a Katie McCabe led thing or something like that, but they seem to have got that right. That sort of atmosphere in the squad is welcoming, and an addition is seen as an addition, and there isn't a sort of a sour grapes attitude, which could easily happen under wrong management or the wrong leadership in the team, you know. So it's another.
Well, we don't know though, really. Let's be honest. You find out in September when it's all over.
True, but I do find, and maybe you're missing them, but you've had senses of these things in the past.
I guess as well, footballers, they understand better than anybody a player's quality. So if Aoife Mannion comes in and she's playing, now when she came in she's just coming back from injury, but like they know where she's been in the women's game. She's playing for Manchester United. You know, the other players are excited. They're going, actually, here's a player who is strengthening us. It's the ones on the cusp when it's player 22 has been selected against a player who played 3 times in qualifying and has been around the squad for 6-7 years. That's where it gets a bit messy. But Vera Pauw can't really be thinking about that. Jonathan Wilson is also on. We're unsure about his Manchester United appearances, but it seems unlikely. He wrote a book about them. So there.
Yeah, well, there you go. Right, okay.
But listen, if you're not a Manchester United fan, you're going to enjoy tonight's show.
Who are United playing tonight?
Brighton.
This sounds way better than watching them be outplayed by Brighton yet again.
Richie McCormack is with us. Apologies.
Richie, was Richie not here?
I'm so unused to having somebody in studio.
I thought he was filibustering, Richie.
I apologise, Richie. Good evening, Richie.
I just thought I'd let you both to it. It's grand. Don't worry about it.
How you keeping?
Yeah, all good. All good. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm trying to. On the Sam thing is still making me laugh. And I know one texter has been on there saying you don't see the big picture, that, you know, Big Sam's basically angling for the Ireland job if the Leeds thing kind of ends abruptly, which it probably will after the end of the season, no matter what he does with them, whether he keeps them up or not. I'd imagine the disparity in wages would probably be a factor in keeping Big Sam away from the Ireland job, considering what he's getting at Leeds versus what Stephen Kenny does with the FAI. So we'll put that one to bed pretty quickly.
If they succeed at Leeds, they can point to a successful partnership and they can do great things for Ireland. Leeds fans won't have him beyond 4 matches, even if they do stay up. Ireland aren't going to go that way after Stephen Kenny, regardless. There is this thing of we have to react, so we tried to play football, so we're going to go the Big Sam way. No chance.
Even if they wanted to go that way, they literally couldn't afford him. So you should put that to bed right now. Yeah, but it's just not going to happen on any front.
Fair enough, Richie. But there's been times, I would say, in the last few years where, you know, if you're having that Stephen Kenny debate and it's like, do we want this, or, you know, do we need to go the Big Sam route? And I always thought it was like a passé media argument that there's a football chairman, for want of a better word, aren't looking at Big Sam anymore. They've moved on from that. Maybe there's a Big Sam type, but we've moved on from actually Sam Allardyce. And it's completely undermined by the fact that he's the man that Leeds have gone to with 4 games to go, you know.
It's a shocking move for Robbie Keane.
Crazy.
Working with Allardyce at this stage will do his reputation with progressive football people no favour, says Jack in Dublin.
I think, do you know what?
People overly think about it. He's 4 games, going to get paid a lot of money. If they stay up, they get a massive bonus. Worst case scenario, nobody blames them.
And as we pointed out last night, the genesis of this relationship is at Soccer Aid. So I think, you know what, I'm not sure his reputation is going to suffer that much, given the fact that they started out together at Soccer Aid and are now trying to keep a multi-million-pound Premier League outfit in the top flight.
We are not far away from Jason Sudeikis getting a job just because, you know, it'd be good TV.
Can I, addressing the texter's point though, I actually think that Robbie's at a point in his coaching career where taking a short-term gig for the money isn't exactly going to do him any long-term good. If he is serious about it and he wants to be a coach, and Middlesbrough didn't exactly work out, I don't know if this is a no-lose situation for him just because he's getting a bit of a payday. I think he does.
What can actually be expected from any of them? in the space of 2 weeks.
If they go the Lampard route and become a little bit of a laughing stock, like, which could happen, if things don't, if there's no kick at all, exactly,
If they get beaten 7-0 by City,
and he's going to be tied to Sam. If this goes really badly wrong, which I don't think is impossible, I wouldn't say it's the most likely outcome, but I don't think it's impossible, and he would be tied to him a little bit. Then, yeah, I don't think this was a situation where Robbie was going to get much credit if it goes well, and I don't know if there's much upside for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
So you're saying Soccer Aid bosses are going to have to look elsewhere if they want their new managers for the next installation?
The Newsround is in association with Gillette Labs. Get the ultimate shave or your money back. Neon Night Edition available now. Is Harry Maguire not a statue at Old Trafford most weekends?
Hey.
Says Anthony Mail. Is Harry Maguire a statue tonight, Richie? Or where is Harry Maguire on this Manchester United team?
Maguire. Yeah, he's not playing. A few changes for Brighton tonight. They're playing host to United. Moises Caicedo, Alexis McAllister, the promising 18-year-old Facundo Buonanotte, and Kaoru Matoma all come back into a team that beat Wolves 6-0 at the weekend. United start with David De Gea in goal. A back five, then, it looks like, of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Victor Lindelof, Luke Shaw, a back four, and Diogo Dalot at left back. In midfield, then, Casemiro and Fred, and Anthony, Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford are in behind Anthony Martial. Kickoff is the date. No Evan Ferguson, you'll note there, for Brighton tonight, but Andrew Moran is on the bench for them.
All right, so we'll obviously keep you up to date with that as it goes on throughout the evening. Seamus Coleman, not as bad as feared, but still not great from an Irish point of view.
Yeah, Sean Dyche raising fresh concerns that Seamus Coleman could miss next month's Euro 2024 qualifiers with Greece and Gibraltar. The Republic of Ireland captain said he avoided serious damage to his knee despite being stretchered off against Leicester, but Dyche says Coleman isn't likely to play again this season due to that injury.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to keep him out. It's still a ligament injury that needs sorting out, but it's not. Obviously, everyone feared it was ACL, and it's not, so that's good news, and good news for him.
Do you think he'll be back this season?
I doubt it. I don't think so, no.
Talking to John O'Shea last night about the sort of craziness of the schedule for international players. So the championship finishes Monday. Ireland play Greece on the 16th of June. So they're going to have 5 weeks off, and then they got to come back in. So I think they're going to have a couple of mini camps, and they're going to go to Turkey for a training camp. But for players who've played all season long to suddenly switch off and then go over to Greece in probably 35 degrees heat for a massively important game, maybe the most decisive game of the entire campaign in terms of Stephen Kenny's future. It's absolute insanity.
Yeah. Why is the championship finishing so early?
Playoffs.
So obviously the Premier League is late. Is that it is this year?
Yeah,
so that's why.
Yeah, the Premier League. Yeah.
So the Champions League final isn't taking place till June. What is it, like the 11th of June?
Right. Okay. Yeah. The worry on Coleman, one of our few Premier League players who might have still been match fit come June, missing a game like that, Everton fans, in a loving way, have been kind of like wanting to move on from Seamus Coleman from about 3 years. But you've seen their record when he had his niggly injury a few weeks ago, even, and then came back and make such a huge difference. He's not the type of player I want to be without for that Greece match, because I feel like that's the worst game in the entire schedule. Ireland might lose all the games to France and Holland, but they'll be up for them, and I don't think they'll need anything. Away to Greece is nearly the most, must win, but hardest to go and motivate
You've
yourself.
You've already been
in the
your
middle
summer
of June,
and you're going on your summer holidays again straight after.
Exactly, yeah, and I feel like Coleman is almost the most important player in the squad for a game like that.
Yeah, knowing Seamus Coleman, if he's in any ways fit, the club won't come into it. And Sean Dyche said he's probably not going to be back.
Yeah, that means just switch and go, yeah.
Again, the Premier League doesn't finish till the 28th of May. It's only a couple of weeks later, so yeah.
You'd like him to be over
ideal.
there, wouldn't you?
There's been a lot going on in Cork over the last 24 hours, Richie.
Yeah, the newly appointed Cork City sporting director Liam Buckley says he wanted Colin Healy to stay on as manager. Healy's resignation was confirmed by the club late last night, mere hours after Buckley's hiring was announced. The arrival of the former St Pat's and Sligo boss is not believed to be a factor in Healy's decision to quit. He led them to the First Division title last season, but they sit second from bottom in the Premier Division ahead of tomorrow night's meeting with St Pat's. Cork owner Dermot Usher told our friends at Red FM this morning that he also wanted Healy to stay on.
It was a hard one for the club because we didn't want Colin to go. We'd probably known since maybe towards the end of last week there was maybe something afoot, and I think with the two results that happened Friday and Monday, and then some of the, I'm going to call it banter, but that was after the match on Monday. I think I think it was probably the final straw for Colin, and I think the way the results, the way the results have gone, it's just extremely difficult. It's difficult for everybody, but there was full support there for Colin within the club and for him to continue on.
It was always going to be difficult, is the thing. I think surely all fair-minded fans would have realised that when you're just promoted, as great as their history is and as big as the club wants to be, when you're just up, season one is about survival. And yes, it's been a very slow start to the season, and maybe they were looking at Drogheda getting some results and getting a little bit worried and looking down at the First Division and seeing Waterford getting it together and getting worried about a potential playoff and all that. But it does seem, from listening to Dermot Usher there, that Colin Healy just got a little bit fed up with it all.
Yeah, it sounded it. It kind of, to a degree, I was there on Monday afternoon as well. I kind of looked at that his weight was kind of run as Cork manager. He's been there for 3 years and been through the highs and lows. Like, we forget that the First Division is such a slog, particularly when you don't get up, which would have happened in the first year or two there. And then to get up and to have that met with the disappointment of these first few months of the season. And I do think Cork will get out of trouble, but they have to face the fact that the squad is pretty thin. And that was evidence at the weekend, both on Friday night and then again on Monday, that if they do have injuries, which they did on Monday, and if there is a sending off, then things can collapse pretty quickly, and that's a steep road and a steep hill to climb. But it's, I guess, I feel bad for Drogs, because they're always that marker club where you kind of think, well, if they have a bad season, then we might have that buffer. But they've been doing a great job there the last year and a half. And they deserve all the credit they can get, but they do create a bit of a vacuum in which other teams kind of have to try and fill, and Cork haven't been able to do that in the last few weeks. And I guess Healy's probably just said enough's enough, need some fresh blood here.
I feel like you need a bit of patience if you're a Cork fan. Like, I mean, when Shells came up last year, it was all the excitement about Duff and everything like that, and it took them half the season to get going. Like, you know what I mean?
And
they
Cork
were
have a worse squad.
There's a big
Shells
difference
did last year.
Exactly, but you know what? There's the excitement of having Cork back in the league and having those big crowds again. And it's just like, it'll take time. Like, that will, they'll develop revenue and they'll get going again. It just, like, they're good enough to finish ahead of UCD. They're probably good enough to finish above that playoff as well. You'd think they're likely to stay up, but it's just not going to be. You're not just going to come back after the wilderness and be back to kind of what you were 7-8 years ago. Well,
you got to accept that at some stage you're going to have a run of 8 or 9 games where you're only going to get a couple of points.
Yeah.
And stay patient and get through that. And it just seems that, certainly from some of the fans, and I feel like it's just some of the fans, that wasn't there. Richie, are you coming to Tallaght tomorrow night? A warm welcome will await, as always, of course, for you and your brethren.
Is it another Dublin derby?
There's about 15 of them every week. No, I'll be here. I'll be tethered to the beast, keeping tabs on that and everything else tomorrow night. So I'll allow you to enjoy Tallaght in peace tomorrow night.
Top of the table clash.
4 points clear.
Rovers are back.
Ooh.
No.
Oh, come on.
Won't be in peace. I have to bring the 4-year-old to the match tomorrow night. So there's not going to be much peace for me, I suspect.
Is she on the season ticket?
No.
Didn't think about that part. We worry about that. I'll be doing the old
over the third side.
Yeah. What my dad used to go up there on the shoulders and put your legs as high as you can so they can't see you when you're going in. God. If anybody sees me doing that, say nothing.
Great days.
Great.
I thought those
Why
days
can't you
were
get into a match
though.
like that? They probably are, as I'm going to find out.
Do you remember the old terrace at Lansdowne? It would have been the South Terrace, where the small stand is now. And I remember going to matches there, and I don't know how they did it or what it was, but people were obviously inside the ground, but they were out. They weren't able to in, so they'd hop over the wall and shout for people's used tickets, and you'd hand up your ticket, and then they go around and get in that way. But I couldn't never understand how it worked, even in the old days. But it was literally a regular thing. How people would just hop over the wall constantly, shout, "How many tickets?" and someone would just pass up their ticket.
Well, I remember coming up to Dublin and getting the dart out, which would obviously be absolutely wedged, and like obviously great excitement up from Mayo for the day. And my dad would have a seating ticket. So I would do the thing where, like we all did, up on the shoulders, straight in, no ticket. And he would leave me with friends of his on the terrace as he would go off to the main stand, which I there was a period in my life where I was quite bitter about this, but now that I have children of my own, I can fully understand his thought process. But it is the most 19... Like, this was definitely the qualification campaign
when
for
you say
Italian
friends
90.
of his, I mean
people
loose
from
acquaintances.
Ballyhonest that he met on the dart that were also going to the game.
He
But it all
fully
worked out.
trusted them. But
It all worked out just fine. Some big breaking GAA news. Limerick senior hurling
Sean
management team have just confirmed that Sean Finn suffered an ACL injury on Saturday evening and will be out for the remainder of the season.
Oh, it seemed like it was his ankle.
they say. Yeah. No, they say ruptured ACL, so he's going to be out for the rest of the season.
That's a massive loss to the championship. Was like, I think Arthur described him as an alien after coming back from the first game of the season when they beat Waterford. Just his unbelievable reading of the game and everything else. Well, that's actually devastating news.
Richie, what else you got for us?
The Minister, Thomas Byrne, has reaffirmed his position that Russian and Belarusian athletes should not compete at next year's Olympics as neutrals. The IOC has previously said that they're exploring avenues to allow athletes from both countries to compete at the Games in Paris. Several sporting bodies, most recently Cycling's UCI, said they would allow Russian and Belarusians resume competition as neutrals, but the Minister of State for Sport and Physical Education has joined 36 other sports ministers around the world in stating their opposition to such a move at the Olympic Games.
How's this happening?
I honestly went into a stupor. I felt like in the Twilight Zone. This Russian and Belarusian athletes. It's the same story all the time.
Another same story all the time. Rory McIlroy.
Is Tiger back? Is Tiger back?
He's back, baby. Yeah, Rory McIlroy, after 3 weeks off, has made a pretty decent start to the Wells Fargo Championship. A 300 round of 68 for him. He's 2 shots off the joint leaders Kevin Streelman, KH Lee and Taylor Moore. Seamus Power had a pretty decent day as well. 69 for him. He's in the clubhouse on 2 under par. Shane Lowry is 4 holes into his opening round and he is level.
So this is one of the elevated events, so most of the big guns are there. John Ram and Scotty Scheffler are skipping this one. You're allowed to skip one. Rory skipped 2. Cost him £3 million to skip the second one, but he's okay with that.
Some rumours he might be getting it back because if you're missed for health reasons, it's okay.
Well,
and
we did touch on that.
Of like, is mental health an issue? You know,
we were talking about that in Golf Weekly today as to, you know, if he had a sore ankle, it would be acceptable for him not to turn up. But if he's exhausted and just mentally burnt out, is that not the same? Something that we didn't talk about on Golf Weekly because it just came up in our conversation afterwards, and I missed this, and it seems everybody has missed this. So Rory McIlroy's first round at the Masters, he's on the 2nd or 3rd hole, and I don't know if he looks to his left, but if he did look to his left, who is standing there watching him? Caroline Wozniacki.
Do you know what's the first person that came into my head?
No.
Yes. I was like, well, this is just a bit of gossip. And then I Googled it, and sure enough, it's in 2 of the English papers from the day after. Out of nowhere. I don't think followed him around for the full 18. Now, Caroline Wozniacki, as far as I'm aware, has moved on and is married. Is still a golf fan and a golfer. But like the Thursday of the Masters, the biggest event of his year, and his ex-fiancée is just standing there.
Yeah. I'd blame it if he didn't already pull his opening drive.
Yeah, but things didn't go very well after that at all.
Yeah.
That's very strange behaviour, isn't it?
It would be a strange thing to see. Someone you haven't seen in like 6 years.
What? Now?
Really? It's like when... do you ever see Kingpin when, like, what is it? Woody Harrelson's character is like looking around him and he sees his landlady making faces at him and trying to put him off. That's what I kind of imagined the dynamic between Wozniacki and McIlroy was at Augusta. You could have stopped this, Nathan. You were there. You had the power.
I couldn't believe it. I hope somebody asks him, like, did he notice?
Oh, God,
because by all accounts, according to the stories, his backroom team were quite shocked at this development.
Yeah, I don't know. I think TMZ would be more interested in that than us now, but let's see.
We do love the gossip on Golf Weekly. We're not too good for anything at that. The latest Golf Weekly is up right now. A casual 90 minutes. Richie, we've got to leave it there.
Golf Weekly plugs.
Nice one, lads.
Mick, thank you as always.
Thank you.
John Giles on the way in a moment. First time for the cash machine.
Your chance to win big. News Talk's cash machine.
So we got a massive amount of money to give away in the cash machine on this